Hi, Steve here, and welcome. On this episode, we're going to dive into how to make or how to facilitate the most effective daily stand-up. And if you're a Scrum Master, if you're a new Scrum Master, if you're an Agile Coach, this is going to be really helpful for you. Even if you're not a Scrum Master, maybe you've been to a few stand-ups and perhaps thought they're not being run as well as they should do. We're going to cover off what good looks like, and also what really good looks like, but also give you some tips and tricks on how to, how to sort of conduct and facilitate, do some really, some really effective and get some good outcomes of your stand-up. Um, First of all, before we sort of dive into that, I want to sort of give you a bit of an overview about some of the pain points and problems that Scrum Masters face with stand-ups and some of the challenges that come up. And typically it's become a lot harder. Obviously, people are spending a lot more time online nowadays. So your stand-ups are typically going to be remote. When I first started out as Scrum Master, it was all face to face, and you're standing around a board, and there's that physical activity going on of moving tickets around, which creates a lot more energy and a lot more of a vibe, and having to recreate that online is it's such a challenge now. So, so there's an extra sort of feat of a climb to make in order to sort of get the right kind of outcomes that you're looking for. A lot of people are used to having stand-ups online now, so it's not necessarily a new thing, but certainly some bad habits have crept in, some bad behaviors have been, we have, especially with people who don't have their cameras on. It is a big bugbear of mine. We'll cover that off in a future video, is to how to get a team to have their cameras on. I mean, in this day and age, we should really be. It should be a lot easier than it is. But we're dealing with introverts mainly. I'm an introvert, you know, so it can happen. Anyway, back to the video. So in terms of having the right stand up and what can be, how do we actually make sure that we're really effective as Scrum Masters? So fundamentally, and this is something I learned from Lisa Adkins when I was on one of her training courses, she said about facilitation is it's not your meeting, it's theirs, which means that all you're there to do is to hold the space, hold the environment, and ensure that the people within it are working and collaborating together to get the right outcomes. And you're there to make sure that that happens. That's it. That's the role of the Scrum Master in the stand-up. Obviously, major misconceptions have crept in over the years of it being more of a reporting thing, and the engineers or the doers in the team are there basically providing the information for the Scrum Master as if it's some sort of hierarchical reporting mechanism. And so let's move away from that, right? We really need to be coaching this into our teams, that actually it's for them as a team to align on the work and align on the sprint and make sure that they're just aware of what's going on, that everybody's on the same page, as it were. So it's not a reporting mechanism. Sometimes you might I mean, it's not easy, but just take a step back and allow them to conduct the session themselves. It can work. Stand at the back of the room, allow them to sort of get on. It's a bit weird. Who's the guy in the corner? Um, Not so easy if you're online as well, of course. But essentially, it's them to work together, and all you're doing is facilitating that. So you know, there's a procedure to go through, there's a ceremony to go through. The typical three questions: what did you do yesterday? What are you going to do today? Do you have any blockers? It can get a little bit robotic, and the team should really, by now, I mean, if they're a new team, maybe not, but people are fairly familiar with what's expected of them to provide information on the call. So, try and mix it up a little bit. But yeah, fundamentally, it's for them to discuss and collaborate. Where, how am I getting on with this particular story? Do I need any help? Is there anything getting in the way? That kind of thing. The things that you want to kind of be looking out for, really, and this is where the poorer Scrum Masters, the weaker Scrum Masters can kind of get sucked into the information and lose sight of what's going on around them. And to become a really effective, powerful Scrum Master, you really need to have, I call them your spidey signals, right? You need to be able to, your alerts, to be able to sort of figure out and understand what's going on so that you can kind of challenge. Like, let's say, for example, an engineer says, you know what, I was on this story yesterday, but I got called into a meeting for 4 hours with one of the stakeholders because they had a problem. And then by the time I got back to the story, it was the end of the day and I didn't really make much progress. Okay, now a Scrum Master who's perhaps a little newer might, or maybe is new into the team and doesn't want to sort of rock the boat, might sort of just move on to the next person at that stage. But for me, that's a red flag right there. And you're going, sorry, what? You were called into a meeting for what? What was that for? Like, who was it you called it? What was going on? And then it sort of comes back to the idea as like, what's my role as a Scrum Master? So I'm there to protect the team from this kind of stuff because stakeholders will try it. This happens. They will try and get their time with their best people. They know that engineers can be helpful, so that they go in through the side door or the back door, and they'll say, "Hey, can you just come and help us out with this problem?" No problem. I want to be helpful. And they'll go off, and then suddenly 3-4 hours are gone, and you're like, your day's gone. So listen out for that kind of stuff. Where people are getting distracted or people are getting requested of things that are outside of that sprint. And that's where you want to be really, your facilitation skills need to be switched on, but also your spidey signals so that you're fully engaged and engrossed and immersed in what's happening. But so there's that procedure of the questions. But what I want to sort of give you a bit of an overview as to how the sort of things to focus on is start from right to left. Now that might sound a bit odd because normally, like, we read left to right, we move left to right, the board moves left to right. But in the stand up, go from right to left. And the reason we do that is because we want to focus on the things that are closest to done, right? So if it's in the blocked swim lane, right? Swim lane, not status, blocked swim lane. We start at the very top right-hand corner as the things that are blocked, but they're like blocked in testing, for example, or blocked in release, or that kind of thing. So start at the very top in the right-hand corner, and then move into in progress as you go through from right to left. So you're focusing then. You might find on a like if you're new into the team, for example, that they've got on their board, they've got filters for each individual in the team. I do away with that. Completely do away with that. Again, we'll do a Jira or work board management session in the future, in the future sessions. But right now, I just want to sort of point out a problem with that. The reason we don't focus on individuals is that we focus on the user stories, and that gives you so many more benefits. It helps the team to collaborate more. It means that they're not individually focused, they're focused on stories because they've made a commitment at the beginning of the sprint that they're working together to deliver against the sprint goals. If you've got individual filters for the stand up, it's good. It's good if, like, if through the day, you know, John, the engineer, wants to figure out what work he's got to do, he'll click on the filter button and he can see it quite easily. But in the stand up, no filters, literally just focus on user stories. How are we getting on with this particular user story? What's getting in the way? What's stopping us moving that story through the system? And therefore, the conversations aren't just about the individual, they are more about the team helping that story to get to done. So kind of that is the sort of nuance behavior that you're going to be looking for, is just to elevate it slightly. Don't be stuck in the weeds where individuals are focused on specific like nuance of tech, for example. You want to be, where's the story, what's going on, how do we get it moving through the system. And that's basically it. People say, oh, 15 minutes. Um, you know, I've seen stand-ups go on for half an hour, and I, I, I can never understand why that is. But basically, the stand-up should be maximum 15 minutes. There's a reason for it. There's a reason why it's stand-up. Is because people can't really talk for much longer than 15 minutes standing up. Their legs get tired, especially if you get to my age. But fundamentally, it's 15 minutes and then gone. I've been in stand-ups that have been like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, done. Right? Let's not hang around. If anybody wants to go deeper, have a breakout session with just two or three key people afterwards. Fine. Keep it nice and slick, nice and efficient, nice and effective. Make sure that you take note of the things that are getting in the way, and then take those things and then make sure that you're going to help the team by removing the things that are getting in the way. And then 15 minutes, done, bam, you're away, and everyone can get back to what they're doing, and it just becomes a lot more energetic, a lot more healthier. Um, that was all for the session. Hopefully that was really helpful. As always, please click on the subscribe button if you feel that this is something that you enjoy, if you're actually getting some use out of it. There's plenty more videos to come. As I've mentioned a couple already that I'm going to be doing in the future, so look out for those. The other thing as well, if you are a Scrum Master and you would like to sort of figure out what sort of impact you're having on your teams, on the organization and your leaders, but it's really hard to be able to tell that kind of story. Take the impact scorecard, which is, I'll put the link in the notes underneath, so that you get a really good insight into actually what's going on for you, and then you get a report at the end with some recommendations, and there's also a chance to join a special it's a high performing team challenge. It's also a high performing Scrum Master challenge as well. So lots of things like that to come. Look out for the links in the show notes, and you can click and go and explore those. But do subscribe, and I will see you on the next show. Take care. Bye bye.